how many standard deviations a result is from the mean. So let's get straight into the example and then explain what the results mean in terms of a distribution. So we've got Rob, who got 83% on his maths test, which had a mean result of 74% and a standard deviation of 6%. And then we've got his English test results. And the question is, what test did he do better on? So the z-score is used to compare two different distributions. So for the z-score for maths, all right, it's going to be equal to his result, which is 83%. Take away the mean, which is 74%, and then divided by the standard deviation, which was 6%. And we'll calculate that in a moment. And then we've got
what's the symbol you put next to Z?
M for maths.
Oh,
So yeah, and then E for English.
okay.
And if we look at his English result, 62% on his English test, so quite low, but the average was quite low as well. The average was 55%, with a standard deviation of 3%, so the results were very concentrated during the English test. Okay, let's perform that, please. So we're going to have, here we'll have 9 on 6, well, we did that, and here we'll have 7 on 3. That's 1.5. Come on. Okay. So what this means, if we think of the distribution for maths, all right, here's the distribution for maths. It has a mean of 74, and his result was 83, which has a z-score of 1.5. That means his result is 1.5 standard deviations above the mean. Okay, so he's 1.5 standard deviations above the mean. If we look at his result for English, okay, the mean was 55, and he got 62. And our z-score here was 2.3, which means his result is 2.3 standard deviation above the mean. So the question is, which result is better compared to the rest of the class? English, significantly better. In fact, it's a whole 0.8 standard deviations above his maths result. All right, so he did better, relatively better in English. So that's how we use z-scores to compare different distributions. Okay, then let's look at question 2. We got x is normally distributed with some mean and standard deviation. Find A and B such that the probability of x being between two standard deviations and half a standard deviation above the mean. Find the values of A and B. So just with the z distribution, all right, this is the z distribution. It has a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. All right, so that means we're going to have 1, we have 2, 3, and here, minus 1, minus 2, and minus 3. Right, that's the z distribution. And we're comparing this to some normal distribution with these values of mean and sigma that aren't clearly given to us. So we'll just put in mean. We've got mean plus the standard deviation, mean plus 2 standard deviations, etc. Okay. Now they're saying the probability of it being between minus 2 standard deviations, positive half a standard deviation. So they're saying this region here is equal to the probability of it being between A and B on the z distribution. And it says, what are those values of A and B? Alright, and so A corresponds with minus 2, and B corresponds with halfway between 0 and 1, 0.5. Okay, so this question here, this isn't working out, that's just me helping you to visualise it. This is a 1 mark question where they're your answers. Okay? But you will see something like that a bit later on in the exercise. So, important takeaways, z-score is how we compare two distributions, and z distribution has a mean of 0 and a standard deviation 1, and a z-score is a measure of how many standard deviations a result is from the mean. Okay? So when you get your 99 ATAR at the end of the year, you can work out how many standard deviations you are from 50. Good. So 5E, 8E, z-scores.
Can you explain the question 2 again?
Yes. So here we've got, so let's read the question. Okay, we've got x is normally distributed with a mean and standard deviation. Happy with that? And z is normally distributed with a mean of 0 and standard deviation 1. So I've drawn both of those. Here's the z distribution, here's the normal distribution. We don't know what the mean is or the standard deviation. That's what we're told. It's just a bell curve. Alright? And it says the probability of it being between 2 standard deviations below the mean and half a standard deviation above the mean is equal to the probability of it being between A and B on the z distribution. What are the values of A and B? Well, A corresponds with -2, 2 standard deviations below the mean. B corresponds with +1/2, half a standard deviation above the mean.
Yeah.
Good question, thank you. Yes, you may.
Like